Hi, let's talk about ethics in the field of mental health. To really get started with that topic, we need to kind of define ethics a little bit. Sometimes ethics and values are terms that are used interchangeably, but they're not quite the same. Values pertain to beliefs and attitudes that provide direction to everyday living. So, values can be part of our personal lives. We have personal values, and yes, sometimes they can tie into our professional values and just kind of who we are as a person and how we want to live our life. Ethics specifically pertain to beliefs that we hold about what constitute right conduct. So in this case, conduct means our behavior and our conduct in the field of mental health. Ethics are moral principles adopted by an individual or group to provide rules for right conduct. So, if you're deciding to pursue a career in the field of mental health, you're likely going to be pursuing a license of some kind. And most licensing boards have an ethical code of conduct, and there's also national codes of conduct with different types of license. For example, the American Psychological Association has a general code of conduct for licensed psychologists across the nation. So, how does morality tie into this? Morality is concerned with perspectives of right and proper conduct and involves an evaluation of actions on the basis of some broader cultural context. So, what that means is that morality has tied into the development of ethical codes and guidelines. So, where was the information gotten to create ethical codes? So it ties into a couple of things, right? Number one, community standards. What does the community say about what's right and what's wrong in this particular area? Another thing that has been taken into consideration a lot of the time is reasonableness. So, is the conduct or the behavior that's in question reasonable in the field? Is it sort of a common practice? Is it the best practice? These are the types of questions that people ask when thinking about the development of ethical guidelines and codes. When we're thinking about ethics in the field of mental health, I think it's really important to sort of conceptualize it in terms of levels. So we have our basic mandatory ethics, the established rules and guidelines that everyone that's practicing in that field with that license has to follow. And there's some common themes in the field of mental health across different licensing boards, which we'll get into in our next video. But for the purposes of this video, if we just think about ethics broadly, we have those mandatory ethics, which basically tell us we have to do these things and behave in these ways, or we're not doing what we need to be doing and can get in trouble. And then we have a different level of ethics or ethical practice called aspirational ethics, meaning that one is aspiring to the highest standards of thinking related to their conduct in their professional practice. So it requires more than just following the letter of the law, but also sort of practicing in a way that demonstrates one has the spirit of why a code was created in mind. And there is actually also positive ethics. And what positive ethics are is they focus not only on how professionals can do no harm or avoid harm of their clients, but also how can we do better? How can we continue to build upon the field of mental health to offer better services or more helpful services, and just practicing in a way that is not only ethical but is also thinking how can we continue to improve and do better. The goal of positive ethics shifts the emphasis for mental health professionals to not focus just on wrongdoing, but also what can we do with our highest level of practice and how can we continually just keep getting better. And of course, on the other end of the spectrum, we have unethical practice, which would mean that someone is not following even the basic mandatory ethical guidelines that they must be following to practice professionally in the field of mental health. So that can kind of range as well. We've got clearly unethical behaviors and conduct, such as having inappropriate relationships with a client. That's pretty clear. Most people would agree that's unethical. And then we've got kind of a spectrum where sometimes people need to seek guidance and supervision to really determine what's the most ethical thing to do in this situation. So that's a basic intro on some different terms related to ethics in the field of mental health. I look forward to continuing to talk about ethics with you and would love to know what you think. So I hope that you'll respond or tell me your thoughts. And I look forward to talking with you more about this. Thank you and have a great day.